The San Francisco 49ers are entering a fascinating moment in the franchise's timeline. This is a team that has lived in the championship conversation for years, a roster built with precision, star power, and an unmistakable identity. But the NFL is relentless. Windows close quickly, injuries reshape trajectories, and financial decisions can ripple through a roster for years. As the 2026 offseason unfolds, the 49ers are making a series of calculated moves that reveal exactly how they view their championship window. They are not rebuilding. They are not retreating. They are recalibrating for another run at the top. One of the most intriguing developments came quietly, but carries significant strategic implications. The 49ers reworked the contract of their defensive cornerstone, Nick Bosa, creating roughly $17 million in additional cap space for the 2026 season. On the surface, this move provides immediate financial breathing room. But when you examine the structure, it tells a deeper story about the team's future planning and their willingness to push resources forward in pursuit of another championship. The restructure lowers Bosa's cap hit for this year, but it dramatically increases the financial burden in 2027, pushing his cap number to a staggering $56.3 million. That number is enormous, even by the standards of elite pass rushers in today's NFL. What that really means is that the 49ers have essentially committed themselves to revisiting Bosa's deal again next offseason. Another restructure, or even a new extension, becomes almost inevitable. This approach is classic championship window management. The 49ers understand that Bosa is not just another player on the roster. He is the engine of their pass rush, the tone setter for their defense, and one of the few defenders in the NFL capable of wrecking a game plan by himself. Even while recovering from the second ACL injury of his career, the organization clearly believes his long-term value outweighs any short-term financial complications. When teams start moving money into the future like this, it usually signals one thing. They believe the roster is still capable of winning right now. But cap flexibility alone doesn't win games. It simply opens the door to roster moves that can strengthen the team's weaknesses. And the 49ers have already begun making some subtle adjustments across the roster, including a change that may not dominate headlines, but could matter significantly in the hidden yards of field position. San Francisco has signed punter Corliss Whiteman, bringing in the former Pittsburgh Steelers specialist to handle punting duties for the 2026 season. At first glance, a punter change might seem minor, but special teams can quietly swing games, especially in the postseason, where field position often becomes the difference between victory and defeat. Whiteman enters San Francisco with a solid statistical resume. In the 2025 season, he recorded 62 punts totaling more than 2,800 yards, averaging 45.5 yards per punt with a long of 67 yards. Even more important, he pinned opponents inside the 20-yard line 26 times. That ability to flip the field and trap opposing offenses deep in their own territory is exactly what coaches look for in a reliable punter. Across his 4 NFL seasons, Whiteman has appeared in 52 games and averaged 46.4 yards per punt over more than 200 attempts. Those numbers place him firmly within the league's respectable range of starting punters. But statistics alone don't tell the whole story. One of the more interesting aspects of his profile is the limited return yardage he allowed compared to his previous counterparts. While special teams coverage certainly plays a role, the punter's hang time and directional control also influence those results. The arrival of Whiteman also signals the end of the brief tenure of veteran Thomas Morstead, who posted a farewell message to 49ers fans as the transition became clear. Morstead's professionalism and experience were valuable, but the 49ers appear to be continuing their recent trend of searching for long-term stability at the position. Since the injury that ended Mitch Wishnowski's run as the team's consistent punter, the organization has cycled through options in search of a solution. For a team chasing championships, even these smaller roster adjustments are made with intention. Field position, hidden yardage, and special teams reliability can determine playoff outcomes. And the 49ers are clearly focused on tightening every detail. But the most emotionally compelling storyline of the offseason might be the return of linebacker Dre Greenlaw. Few defensive duos in the NFL developed the chemistry and ferocity that Greenlaw and Fred Warner built together in San Francisco. They weren't just productive. They were the emotional heartbeat of the defense. When Greenlaw left in free agency for the Denver Broncos, it felt like the end of an era. Denver offered him a 3-year deal worth $35 million, and the 49ers simply couldn't match the financial commitment at the time. Losing Greenlaw meant losing Warner's running mate, the player who complemented his sideline-to-sideline dominance with physicality and relentless energy. But football careers rarely follow straight lines. Greenlaw's time in Denver never fully materialized the way either side hoped. After already missing most of 2024 due to the devastating Achilles injury he suffered in the Super Bowl, he entered 2025 still battling durability concerns. A quad injury during training camp placed him on injured reserve before the season even began. When he finally returned in Week 7, it came in one of the most chaotic games of the year, a wild comeback victory over the New York Giants. The Broncos erased a massive deficit and exploded for 33 fourth-quarter points. It was the kind of game that creates instant NFL lore. But Greenlaw's season continued to be disrupted by setbacks. A suspension after an interaction with an official briefly sidelined him again. Later in the year, a hamstring injury forced him to miss the final 2 games of the regular season. By the time the season ended, he had appeared in only 8 games. For a player on a major contract, availability matters just as much as performance. Even though Greenlaw contributed 10 tackles across 2 playoff games, the Broncos ultimately decided the financial commitment no longer made sense. With $21 million still remaining on the deal, Denver chose to move on. And that's where the story takes an unexpected turn. San Francisco welcomed Greenlaw back on a 1-year contract worth $7.5 million. It's a remarkable twist. A year after losing him to a lucrative free agent deal, the 49ers now get him back at a fraction of the cost. From a strategic standpoint, this is a classic low-risk, high-reward move. If Greenlaw stays healthy, the 49ers instantly restore one of the most effective linebacker duos in football. Warner and Greenlaw understand each other's instincts, communicate seamlessly, and play with the kind of chemistry that can't be manufactured overnight. If injuries continue to be a problem, the financial impact is minimal. The team also has D. Winters waiting in the wings, a young linebacker who showed promising flashes while filling in during Greenlaw's absence. Winters is still under contract and will likely compete for the same role during the 2026 season. This competition could actually benefit the entire defense. Greenlaw will be motivated to prove he still belongs among the league's top linebackers, while Winters has already demonstrated he can contribute when called upon. Depth at linebacker has been an underrated factor in many of the 49ers' recent defensive successes. Right around this point in the offseason conversation, it becomes clear that the 49ers are quietly assembling a roster designed for one more aggressive push. And if you're enjoying this deep breakdown of everything happening inside the organization, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because throughout the offseason, we're going to continue analyzing every move, every contract decision, and every roster battle that could shape the next Super Bowl contender in San Francisco. Another major reason analysts believe the 49ers are improving lies in one of the most surprising signings of the offseason. San Francisco brought in veteran wide receiver Mike Evans on a 3-year deal that could reach $60 million with incentives. It's the type of move that immediately changes how defenses have to approach the 49ers offense. Evans has spent his entire career establishing himself as one of the most consistent wide receivers in NFL history. 11 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons is not just impressive. It's historically rare. Standing 6'5" and weighing more than 230 pounds, Evans brings a physical presence that the 49ers offense has often lacked on the perimeter. Kyle Shanahan's offensive system thrives on precision route running, yards after the catch, and mismatches created through motion and formation. But there have been moments in recent seasons when the offense lacked a true contested catch weapon on the outside. Evans changes that dynamic immediately. He's the type of receiver who can win 50-50 balls, dominate in the red zone, and provide a reliable target when the play breaks down. For quarterbacks, that kind of receiver becomes a security blanket. Even when coverage is tight, the quarterback can trust Evans to fight for the football. Of course, the move carries some risk. Evans dealt with both hamstring and collarbone injuries last season and appeared in only 8 games. The 49ers are betting that those injuries were temporary setbacks rather than signs of long-term decline. If Evans returns to his usual form, the offensive possibilities become incredibly exciting. Defenses will have to account for his physical presence on the outside, while still dealing with the speed, creativity, and versatility that define Shanahan's system. Meanwhile, the team has quietly addressed depth across several other positions. The addition of swing tackle Vidarian Lowe gives the offensive line a valuable insurance policy, particularly with Trent Williams entering the later stages of his career. Williams remains one of the most dominant offensive tackles in football, but at 37 years old, durability becomes an unavoidable conversation. Having a reliable swing tackle means the 49ers can survive potential injuries without completely reshaping their offensive structure. Lowe may not be an elite pass protector, but his run-blocking ability fits nicely within the physical style of San Francisco's ground attack. Cornerback Nate Hobbs adds another piece to the secondary, while linebacker Luke Gifford returns to reinforce the special teams unit. And perhaps one of the more intriguing defensive additions comes through the trade for defensive tackle Osa Odigizwa, a player capable of strengthening the interior pass rush. Taken together, these moves paint a clear picture. The 49ers are not chasing headlines. They are building layers of depth around their star core. But looming over all of these decisions is one massive contract question that could define the franchise's financial structure moving forward. Trent Williams currently carries a cap hit approaching $39 million for the upcoming season. That number is enormous for any offensive lineman, even one as dominant as Williams. An extension could dramatically reduce that cap hit and free up even more financial flexibility for the front office. At the same time, extending a 37-year-old tackle comes with obvious long-term risks. It's a delicate balance between rewarding one of the franchise's most important players and maintaining roster sustainability. But if there's one thing the 49ers have consistently shown over the past decade, it's a willingness to push financial decisions forward in pursuit of championships. The window is still open. The core remains talented. And the front office clearly believes that with the right combination of veteran leadership, strategic depth additions, and financial maneuvering, the 49ers can once again position themselves among the NFL's elite contenders. As the 2026 season approaches, every move will be scrutinized, every injury monitored, and every roster battle analyzed. Because in San Francisco, the expectation is not simply to compete. The expectation is to finish the journey that has come so painfully close so many times before. And if you want to stay ahead of every development surrounding the 49ers throughout the offseason and into the season itself, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a comment with your thoughts on these moves, and join the conversation as we continue breaking down the path toward the next potential Super Bowl run in San Francisco.